We just got back from seeing The Quiet Place, the new movie starring Jim Halpert and British Pam Beesly. Quite a movie, don't you think?
I do agree. It's really quite the movie. Really thrilling.
Absolutely, and we're going to talk about it right after the theme song! Welcome back to the Quick Take. Before we get into our movie, we're going to do the customary IMDb plot synopsis, which is: a family is forced to live in silence while hiding from creatures that hunt by sound. So the movie starts off about 92 days after this post-apocalyptic...
I think 89 days.
Whatever. About 90 days after this apocalyptic event happens, these creatures invade Earth. They hunt by sound. A family is trying to survive. One of their kids dies, and we cut to 400 days later, and here we are, they're living in silence. So, Aidan, what did you think of the movie?
I really liked this movie. I thought it was probably one of the best thriller/horror movies I've seen in a while, actually.
Weird that it comes from a comedy guy, John Krasinski. Lately, you're seeing all these comedy people turn to directing horror, and they actually are pretty good at what they are doing.
Yeah, Jordan Peele doing Get Out, now John Krasinski doing Quiet Place.
I think there's a formula that we need to follow. Let's talk about the pregnant mom.
Okay.
Why the would you get pregnant in an apocalypse where you can't make a noise? Do you know how loud babies are? Come on, John Krasinski, pull out!
I mean, they were somewhat prepared for the entire event.
I don't care. They had 3 kids. One died.
That kid deserved
to die. A year
though.
later, they're having a baby. In that time span, they looked at each other and decided, you know what's a good idea? Let's have another kid. In an apocalypse where if you make a sound, you're gonna get cut in half. Like, why the would you do that? I want a screaming baby when I just saw my 3-year-old a year ago get ripped in half because he doesn't understand the concept of shut the up, kid. No way.
Maybe all the birth control expired.
Then stop porking.
Happy accidents.
In the genre of horror, everything that happens nowadays is jump scares. It's loud music, loud noises, everything just jumps up an octave and you're scared out of your seat simply because it's loud. And this is the only movie in a long time that could actually do that and get away with it because It's about being quiet, and they didn't do a lot of jump scares, a lot of loud noises, and it doesn't feel like they're depending on jump scares. They used the quiet, the silence was like this other character. It obviously had no lines. It didn't do any kind of dramatic acting, facially. That was stupid.
The quiet of the movie really adds a presence and almost a constantly looming threat to the family. It's really works very well for the concept.
And along the same lines, I think the sound mixing was awesome. And obviously it has to be awesome in a movie like this where they depend on the quiet and they depend on sounds being amplified. They did a great job of really mixing the audio and making the world feel alive without any dialogue, really.
So much room tone was used in this film.
Another thing about the sound that was really cool was the daughter that is deaf.
She's deaf in real life.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I did my research.
Whenever it cut to her perspective, it was really cool to see them actually still deaden the sound and actually remove all of the noises of the world and kind of leave the muffled and, just the sound in the movie. In a movie where everything is pretty quiet, it's still good to see that they employed that to make that distinction.
You really reminded me of Baby Driver, because in that movie, one of the guys has tinnitus. But when it cuts to him, you can actually hear the ringing in his ears. You constantly are put into the character's perspective, which is fantastic.
She actually had a big role to play in the story, in the narrative, so it was cool giving her that distinction and setting her apart from everybody else. The acting by the actors, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, including...
Who are married in real life, so
yes,
really good chemistry.
They really did a good job of personifying these people and bringing them to life. Just acting mostly with their expressions. They're using American Sign Language throughout to communicate with each other, with their children. I just think the acting was top notch. What did you think of the creature design?
I did really enjoy the creature design. His entire face was like an eardrum. Having that incorporated into its design and a main feature of it, I thought was very fantastic.
I was kind of bummed out that they did use CGI. This day and age, it's less expensive to just make a whole CGI monster rather than making it out of practical effects. But it would have been cool to see whatever they're called actually be a real thing. And that's kind of a bad thing that they do in movies nowadays. They rely only on CGI. Movies really look great when they take practical and supplement or highlight some of the things with CGI, and we need to see more of that. It kind of looked like Venom mixed with the Demogorgon from Stranger Things.
One thing it reminded me of was Clover from Cloverfield, the giant monster that attacks New York City.
Well, there you go, Clover, Venom, and the Stranger Things Demogorgon. Now I'm mad.
It's
Come
just
up
a
with your own
mishmash of
design.
everything. It's just like everything in one.
Do your own thing, John Krasinski. One thing that I don't like in movies is when they introduce creatures, monsters, and they don't explain their origin. I know they did a little bit in the snippets of the newspapers that the dad had plastered on his
Aliens,
wall.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, yes, but only if you have an eagle eye. I just want to know why these creatures are here. And I
It's an invasion.
I understand that this is not the movie that needs explanation for them, but as I've said on the takes in the past and the quick takes in the past, I want to know. Tell me where they're from. I don't want to have to dig deep into a movie to find out the answer. Just spell it out for me. I'm an idiot consumer and I just need to know. The set design was really good. They really paid a lot of attention to detail. They really took out a lot of things that would make noise in the movie. Even one scene where the kids are playing Monopoly, they swapped out all the metal pieces for knitted pieces, yarn, pieces of paper. Everything looked cool. The barn that they lived in, the dad's radio room.
Yeah, the fact that they actually lived in the barn, because like the wooden floors in the house, they actually make noise and they didn't want to live in there anymore.
Exactly. All the paths were lined with sand to deaden the sound of footsteps. They didn't wear shoes in all of the movie. They thought of everything and they did think of, you know, what would make noise and what wouldn't. The movie was an original concept and that was refreshing to see.
Like the past few years, it's just been ghosts, like demons, everything all like saturate the market with like...
Yeah, there's like 5 Conjuring movies or
3 Insidiouses,
Yeah,
2 Annabelles.
Come on. It didn't rely on some of the tropes that horror movies nowadays and in the past have relied on. It didn't rely on gore. It didn't rely on jump scares. Thank you, John Krasinski, for writing the script, or if you wrote the script, I guess. I don't know. Let's look into it.
He is one of 3 people that wrote this script.
Thank you, John Krasinski and crew, for writing a script that is actually different than what we're seeing. And he directed the movie and he starred in the movie. He really did a good job. At the climax of the movie, the obvious happens. The creatures attack the farm. John Krasinski sacrifices himself for his family.
R.I.P. Jim.
And the deaf girl, she has a hearing aid that her dad made for her that
Them being in proximity to her just caused the hearing aid to go haywire, and that frequency kind of like messed him up.
Emily Blunt blows its head off with a shotgun, then they're saved. They look at the monitors and a bunch of creatures are coming at them, and Emily Blunt cocks the shotgun, and the movie ends. I thought it was a good ending.
The ending takes place at like halfway through the movie and just keeps going. Because like this is a relatively short movie at like I think an hour and a half. So there's about like 45 minutes of exposition and then like 45 minutes of just like constant like falling apart. Them trying to survive in their house. And trying to keep safe. It was very thrilling for a thriller.
Pacing was on point and it did keep me on the edge of my seat for a lot of it. All right, Aidan, so what are you going to give this movie out of 5 whatevers?
In a year full of subpar movies, one man really enjoyed this, so I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Happy Noahs.
It'll be hard to find an image of a Happy Noah, so good luck to the editor. I'm gonna go along with you. I did think that there was some things wrong with the film, but not enough to make it anything less than a 4, so I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 bearded John Krasinski's. Good look, man, keep it up. Well, that's it, Aidan. I think we've talked this movie to death, to John Krasinski's death.
Pour one out.
Yeah, pour one out for John Krasinski, the dad in all horror movies, you know. You gotta love the dads and you gotta root for them. They're always biting it at the end of horror movies, so this one's for you.
I got a drink out of that.
Oh, that's vodka. Follow us on Facebook, Gmail, Twitter, all those good things. We'll be back reviewing some other I don't know what else to say, so bye!